slowly pulling not just the listener in.
Where am I going? Where are we going?
We're going to Starbucks actually today.
Oh, great.
Today we're going to Starbucks.
Should we actually go over to that Starbucks that's on Mission and just sit?
I've been in that one before. It's not my favorite.
Oh, okay.
My favorite Starbucks in town is the one by the Capitola Mall.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's always got pretty decent service. Welcome to the Cat and Cloud
Welcome,
Podcast,
everybody.
Hi.
What's your favorite Starbucks?
Oh, you're asking the listener?
I'm asking the listener.
All right. So we're in the roastery. We're at the marketing department desk, which is comical in its own right. We've done a little reorganization. So we've carved out a corner of the roastery for us to do some video work, some photo work, and then sometimes some desk work. So just picture 3 grown adults sharing this desk that's way too small.
It's a peninsula of marketing.
Basically, everything is fine until I come in here and just destroy everyone's program. So I'm sitting right across from Kira, who's actually trying to do work. And here I am, just in front of a microphone.
I wasn't trying to do anything.
Yucking it up. Weiser's just, he's doing whatever Weiser does. Who knows? So we have this questions bank that Weiser so graciously put together that you out there so graciously contributed to. And one of the things that's come up a couple times is thoughts on this new Starbucks, back to Starbucks, or back to
life.
Back to Starbucks. That's what it's called.
To reality. Sorry.
So there's a couple pieces of kit that I've seen. One is this message from Brian. I can't remember his last name. Niccol. I don't want to pronounce that wrong. Looks like Nicole.
Nicole? I mean, if it were me, I would want it to be Nicole. So
Nicole, current chairman and CEO. So this is just looks like a press release, an open letter for all partners, customers, and stakeholders. And then there is another piece of kit, which is the overly epic Starbucks Super Bowl ad
from AC/DC.
Hello again. So if you haven't watched it, you should watch it. We put a link in it in the description so people can go watch it.
I only saw it because I was uploading last week's podcast and I saw it on YouTube. It was sitting there.
It was just sitting on YouTube.
It was in our feed.
Dude, it is epic.
They're trying.
It's epic. So you got AC/DC, Thunderstruck in the background. You're expecting to see Tony Stark just fly in Iron Man suit.
First thing that came to my head when I saw it.
Make a move, Reindeer Games. Just like Loki just beat Cap's ass because Cap's a wuss. And then Tony comes in to handle it. And Loki submits, but he's just fronting. It's part of a bigger plan.
Oh my goodness.
So what part of a bigger plan is this? So you got AC/DC in the background, and then you've got this, what would you call it? Like
just a montage?
Cinematic montage.
Very cinematic. The one thing that stood out to me that was the most annoying.
Yeah, you could scroll around if you want.
When he turns the lights on. Lights don't turn on like that.
Oh,
they just sequentially flip the switch. They're all turning on.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
It's just like, stop lying. You're lying already. You're lying to me already.
So it is just this epic. It's this epic commercial.
Oh, go back here. This guy.
People can't see us scrolling through this when they're listening to this on.
I'm gonna have to edit this. It's gonna be great. He comes out. He's like, Milkman.
Just so like it's almost like this modern ode to barista culture through the lens of Starbucks. It's basically it's how would you describe it?
They're trying to reset their brand is how I take it. They got a new CEO. It's this like back to Starbucks. They're calling themselves the Starbucks Coffee Company. They're trying to like lean heavy into this like, we're just your neighborhood place. Come and have a taste.
Yeah. So
it feels very interesting. I've been seeing on their socials too, they've had some specific people who are being like, this is what a classic drink is, and like doing something that does not feel like the, hey, come and get your breakfast sandwich.
Yeah.
So in the write-up that I try to do for this, my thoughts on it were seeing...
I deleted all of his notes.
You know, it was very terrible. Seeing all of the other specialty shops that like have special drink menus or like who are trying to diversify what they offer to kind of interest maybe younger people. My background in coffee is that I started in a cafe in 2007. I literally followed my old manager from a movie theater to a really kind of second wave coffee shop in the area, and this was the year that Verve on 41st was opening up. So I was just on the tail end of like the beginning of third wave kind of. And so I have this experience of that really getting going and everyone coming back to like, oh, we make really good espresso. Like we focus on espresso. We focus on these classic drinks like a cappuccino and a latte that are all this kind of like microfoam is a thing and all this stuff. And so that got me excited. The artisanness in it got me excited. But now I feel like where the industry is going, and this is just my experience, is that people are trying to elevate it and just see how far they can make things stretch, see how wild they can make drinks, see how interesting they can make drinks. It's like when Taco Bell introduced Baja Blast and they're like, oh, you like Mountain Dew? Let's see what other ways we could make Mountain Dew taste
I knew you'd bring it back to Mountain Dew.
Livewire, man.
I knew you would do it.
But like it's a... And I feel like younger audiences or younger people, younger guests are wanting more of that diverse, interesting thing. They're not coming in for the typical just default drinks in the morning. So for me, my two thoughts on this was it's really interesting that Starbucks is the one that is going back to that, trying to bring back that like we are a coffee company, like you come to us for coffee. But then at the same time, they're also poised really well to, if they want to diversify the menu and capture that younger audience that is wanting different new experiences, they can do that because they have a wealth of assets at them and they have the ability, they have the resources to be like, hey, let's try this drink over here. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, whatever. So It's just interesting that I feel like they're trying to scoop back up that audience, that coffee audience that's there, that I feel like the old guard at Starbucks kind of ignored because they're like, whatever, we're doing our own thing. We're making breakfast sandwiches.
Yeah, it's really interesting to me. And obviously we did a couple episodes on the Howard Schultz interview that he did.
Which is why I put these in the notes, because I thought you guys were kind of talking some smack about him because he would say that, I hate this, but we're going to do it.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even say we were talking smack about him. I'm more talking smack. I mean, because he's obviously been incredibly successful in what he set out to do. It's just that what he set out to do and what he says he set out to do are not the same thing. And that's where this kind of feels a little bit familiar.
Yeah.
But I do want to touch on a couple things that you said, because you kind of detailed this, I don't know, it's almost like the rise and fall of the third wave, because the beginning of the third wave movement and the waves of coffee in a nutshell, it's like first wave, coffee as just a commodity.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, it's on your shelf, like Folgers.
Yeah.
Whatever. The second wave is really based off we'll call it the rise of the latte, the Italian influence on espresso culture. It's okay, coffee's not this thing that comes out of a can that I make in this pot in the morning. I can get fancy drinks that, Starbucks really is the quintessential second wave coffee company. They are responsible for.
Funny that you say Italian inspired, because they say that exact line in that YouTube video.
Yeah, it's undoubtedly. And when Schultz talks about it, he speaks directly to that influence. I mean, the whole impetus of their business model was he took a trip to Italy and saw what they were doing there.
He saw the light.
Prior to that, Starbucks wasn't doing any of that.
Yeah.
He talks about Starbucks they were just bean stores, essentially. It wasn't a cafe at all. And then you get to the third wave, and the third wave has a little bit of an identity crisis, because the third wave as coined is really about coffee speaking for itself and the purity of coffee. So you're getting into the nuance of sourcing well, roasting well. Coffee's got all of these really interesting flavor characteristics. If you look at volatile aromatic compounds, coffee's like 3 times more complex than wine. So it's got a lot to offer. And the third wave's about getting to that. But in reality, the expression of the third wave were things like grinding espresso, fresh made to order, as opposed to, we used to fill up grinders and then 1 click for a single, 2 clicks for a double, and the coffee is maybe there for hours, sometimes days before it's made.
Yeah.
Microfoam and latte art. Latte art became, the quintessential signifier for the third wave. It's like, is this a good coffee shop? Is this a modern specialty coffee shop?
Yeah.
A third wave shop? Does it have latte art? Yes. Okay, cool. You're all of a sudden third wave. So how the third wave, the ideals of the third wave and the way it manifested are not even aligned necessarily.
Yeah.
So, but one of the other markers of the third wave was the absence of other things. So if you look at second wave shops like the one that I started in, we made espresso. We did pull espresso to order. We didn't do microfoam at first, but we had all these other things. So,
if microfoam was the signature of a third wave shop, I was making Surf City and Aptos look real good.
So we had we had this horseshoe bar. We had beer that you could get on the back counter. We had a couple panini grills in the back. You could get sandwiches. You could get wraps. We had the really common rack of Torani flavored syrup, so you could get all of these different things. And part of the third wave ethos was goodbye to all of that. Yeah. All we focus on is the coffee.
Back to basics, kind of. Back to Starbucks.
Because and part of it is sorry. Part of it is like this pure expression, but then some of it is marketing to where you can get away with subpar quality if you're checking all the boxes. Just because you're pouring latte art, you don't have sandwiches and syrups. That doesn't automatically mean you're sourcing and roasting good coffees, but you have like the framework of all these other third wave shops.
So, kind of a catch-all.
Right. So like when I worked at Ritual and I started there in 2006-ish, at the time, we were the epitome of that. The only thing that we had in the shop that you could get in a drink other than espresso and milk was chocolate. So you could get a mocha there. Yeah. Other than that, that was it. And we were very, very stringent about all of the other expressions of the coffee.
Yeah.
So, we served the Gibraltar, which was a blue bottle handover. Shout out to Steve Ford, if anybody knows that story. And it's like, you couldn't get it decaf. You could only get it whole milk. There's no modifiers.
Yeah.
It's just like you take it as it is. And if you can't deal with that, you don't get it.
Yeah.
Like soup Nazi style. So some of those things became to be the markers of this third wave. And then to bring it back to what you're talking about is as time has gone on and all of those things become less of a mystery and more common, so many people can steam microfoam. Everybody knows how to pour latte art. It's not really rare. Like sourcing good coffee is available to a lot of people. Roasting is not a secret. Yeah. There's books and classes, and it's just open source code, essentially.
Even the Whole Foods Roasting Company, all of their bags say 85 point coffee.
Yeah. So
it's like, sorry.
Right. Which
taking shots.
Yeah. So this world is less closely, guarded. It's just less of a mystery. And now you see the progression of what used to be those third wave cafes. They kind of look more like second wave cafes, including ours over here at Swift. It's, we've got a kitchen in there. Mm-hmm. We're cranking out breakfast burritos. Yeah. You can get breakfast plates. We have seasonal drinks that are, would have been considered foofy or overly fancy during that initial third wave boom. And I think it's a couple different things. Like part of it is people get bored, Yeah. I'm happy drinking traditional cappuccino every day. I'm not sure everybody else is. It's nice to have some variety. And we've seen and we know that we can do both. We can source and roast and serve delicious coffee and also make a really good breakfast burrito. The fact that we have a breakfast burrito doesn't automatically make the coffee worse.
Yeah, so what you're talking about is kind of what you talked about on the Questions podcast and you've said this before too, where it's, just doing good at the thing that your business is about that's an understood thing. Everyone wants to make the best car if they're a car company. Everyone wants to make the best coffee if they are a coffee company, sort of thing. So
producing quality is cost of entry into the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the bare minimum.
And so where this was leading me to was the Starbucks thing was, like, for me, my experience with them with Starbucks over the past couple years has been, I've always been hearing about they're trying new things. And then I see other people, like some of the people across the street, and just like, my partner loves a good like honey lavender latte. And it's just one of the other things I've heard us talk about is how our mission of inspiring connection by creating a memorable experience is we use coffee as a vehicle for that. Because it's like coffee is a great denominator. A lot of people drink coffee. And for a lot of people, this was something I wrote up in the write-up for this episode was, when does that go away? And what happens at that point? Do you expect that coffee is going to be the like almost default in the morning? Because yeah, we have Swift Street here. And that is very much not like a traditional, again, I'll use it in quotes, but third wave cafe. Where is the industry going, especially when you have people like Starbucks who are coming in and be like, no, we're like that too. We're a cafe. Remember us? Hi, we're the coffee company.
Yeah, it's almost it's multiple questions because
it is.
So you were detailing the arc, and I kind of riffed on that, like this first, second, third wave arc, and how the third wave's opening back up. And the reason I told that story is because, you know, the way you're putting it, it's like Starbucks is really perfectly poised to engage with that market.
Yeah.
You know, or engage with, they don't have to be super hardcore.
Yeah, they don't have to be like, they don't have to be Ritual back in the day where you get no modifiers.
Exactly. So it's a little more open. The Starbucks thing to me is really interesting because one, I'm just why? And I imagine it's a bunch of different reasons. I imagine things aren't well in terms of there's something that they're trying to fix. And it could be public perception. It could be their stock price. It could be stores closing. And I'm not exactly sure.
Well, if you're my dad, you're mad that they're opening up another one in Watsonville. So that's just...
It might be that they have, you know... It's hard to tell how common this is versus what you see, you know, employees picketing or unionizing, or, you know, however that works. They have some sort of change that they want to make. But when I look at the ad, the video, my brain immediately goes to, cool, this is really well done. I don't believe it at all.
Yeah.
In the sense of the images that they're showing, you don't see those in the stores.
Yeah.
Right? It's because the images are just so epic and grandiose, and I don't even know the right word to say. But it's like you go in the stores and it's pretty drab and there's trash on the ground and, you know, there's kind of like a mess everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's a really mixed bag. And again, I can't even imagine what it's like to manage something at that scale.
Yeah.
And I know that not all stores are created the same. Like, I have really good experiences at that Capitola Starbucks that's near the mall.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is the staff is generally friendly. They're attentive. My drink comes out in a reasonable amount of time. And that's really what I can expect there.
Yeah.
It's not the cleanest store ever. It's not super well kept. It doesn't feel like a crowd that I want to, you know, make my every Saturday thing. But I think it delivers on what the actual Starbucks promise is, which is quick, convenient, and consistent.
Yeah.
So I always have a problem with businesses painting a picture that doesn't reflect the reality. I'm more like, instead of working on marketing in the corny sense. So what I think marketing is telling a story. And the best marketing is built off telling stories that are actually true, because those are the only ones that, given enough time, actually matter.
Yeah.
Whereas
anything that's not true will bubble to the surface and show itself really quick.
Right. It's just going to be wow and then fade away. It's not going to have any staying power.
Yeah.
And they're doing more corny advertising. And I'm just like, don't do the advertising. Change the stores.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to make this crazy video. Put this energy. It's going to take more energy to remap the stores than it is to make even a really, really nice video. But it's like, focus on improving the experience. You know, they talked about some things that they want to do, which I think are cool. Bringing back for here cups is one of them. You know, they want to bring back some amount of ceramic cups into the cafes, which has been gone. And I'm just like, that's great. You should do that. So do it and then talk about it.
Yeah.
Right? We have ceramic cups again. Not, it's the fucking most epic barista job you're ever going to have and lightning bolts are going to shoot out of your ass or whatever. It's just like, I don't fucking care. Like, and
Milkman.
And I don't think anybody else who is in our shoes is believing it either. And the thing that confuses me, and maybe this is something I just don't understand because our business is infinitely smaller, is they have millions of guests that go to Starbucks. You know, if they actually committed to slow and steady incremental improvements over the course of 3 to 5 years, they probably could elevate the brand to where people think about it differently. You know, because what's a good parallel? Because I always say they feel like the McDonald's of coffee.
Yeah.
'Cause that's how they act, and that's the credit I'll give them. And again,
it's really funny that you say that Starbucks that you go to, the one by the mall, is got the best service because it's also one that isn't a drive-through.
it's not a drive-through.
It's not. You know, I'm saying like, I would venture to guess, based off of like all the Starbucks that I've seen recently, that a majority of their guests that go to a Starbucks in any given day are going to it through a drive-through. Like,
yeah, I don't even know the numbers. I have no idea.
It would just be a guess
It depends,
on my part.
but then you got to factor in major metropolitan areas: New York, San Francisco.
All right,
they're not going to have any drive-throughs there.
Well,
they're
California.
probably pushing numbers.
California, where our cars are our third space.
Oh, let's see. More than 70% of Starbucks orders are made through the drive-thru or mobile ordering. Which one's which, right? I could see mobile ordering in those places are probably like super high. Kira's fact-checking for us. Thank you for that.
Marketing Peninsula.
But I wanted to say before we go further that I'm commenting on a gigantic company's basically promise and delivery.
Yeah.
I'm not commenting on people who choose to go to Starbucks. Obviously, there's no problem with that.
Yeah.
Or people who work at Starbucks. Obviously,
the heart of the conversation, what you're saying, is the promise and delivery, and not promising things that you don't deliver on.
yeah, I'm not saying that Starbucks is terrible, or if you work at Starbucks, you're not like some real fancy barista. That's not what I'm saying at all. So I just wanted to make that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make that clear.
I'm following you.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that if they did commit to that change, they probably could elevate the perception of the brand. And again, I don't know what that does to their numbers, and I don't know what it does to their, like, if we're talking bottom line or image. So McDonald's is McDonald's.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry, back on the McDonald's
We're back
track.
on McDonald's. McDonald's is McDonald's, and McDonald's never pretends to be anything else other than McDonald's. And if I'm just making a guess, Kira could run the numbers for us again on this one. I would guess that there are just so many more McDonald's than In-N-Outs. Right? There has to be.
Yeah,
because it's a gigantic international corporation. Maybe even in the U.S., there's however many thousands more. Who the fuck knows?
Yeah.
But it's In-N-Out to me feels like a much more premium experience than McDonald's.
Survey says
McDonald's has many more locations than In-N-Out, over 42,000 worldwide. In-N-Out has 400 locations. All right. So where I'm going with this is McDonald's is perfectly happy being McDonald's.
Yeah.
They're not trying to make these improvements and say, we're going to get back to In-N-Out levels of magic, where In-N-Out is still undeniably a fast food chain.
Yeah.
But they're known for paying their employees well. They're known for their service. They have some of these show elements, with their attire, and they're cutting fresh potatoes on the fly, like all of these things.
Giant safety pins on the back of their
aprons.
whatchamacallits.
Right. So it's all of these things that signify, hey, we're not just your average fast food chain. There's something much more special about us.
Yeah.
And because of that, people like it. Like if there's one across the street from the other, I grew up on McDonald's. I'm a McDonald's kid. But it's like, I'm going In-N-Out.
Yeah.
Every time. So I'm just curious as to where Starbucks thinks they're ultimately going to land. And, are they committed to being something that's different than what they are? Or is this just an attempt to capture some temporary attention, momentarily boost stock price? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's why it really just felt like this, like almost like they were trying to, I don't know about you, but when I come home from the grocery store, I like to carry everything at once. I am this is all a one-trip thing. And then when something falls, you try to like kick it back up or grab it. It feels like that's what Starbucks is doing, to where they're like, oh, we're not doing well over here, and this kind of thing is over here, so let's just try and scoop it back up. And that's what it feels like.
I like for
Bad
what
analogy, Kira? Was that okay?
For what it's worth, I feel like they could improve their business in a way that they actually want to by making a much more simple promise.
Yes.
Which is, hey, we're not the epicenter of specialty coffee worldwide. We're just going to clean up our stores, treat our employees better, whatever that means. I hear them talking about, they have these 5.
Oh, is it in their write-up?
There's these 4 pillars that the CEO put out. Number 1, empowering our baristas to take care of our customers, get the morning right every morning, reestablishing Starbucks as a community coffee house. I don't know about that. Telling our story. The first 2 seem great. Like, if you're empowering your baristas to take care of your customers, that includes things like cleaning up the store, getting all that dialed in, because they already have consistency and speed. Are you tripping on the grinding right now?
Well, no, you seem to really hate how dirty Starbucks are. You say
I hate dirty stores.
Yeah.
How are you going to take 10 of my dollars in a place that has trash all over the ground?
Yeah,
Yes, I hate dirty places. Like you can't charge me money in a place that's filthy. No. You got to keep your store clean. It's disgusting.
So empower your baristas
Anyway.
to clean the floor.
Yeah. And then they talk about something that's they start it like how we start it. People start their day with us and we need to meet their expectations. Yeah. We talk about people get up in the morning. There's a high probability that we are the first people that somebody interacts with outside of their immediate family or roommates.
Yeah.
We are their entry into the world that day. And that's a very powerful moment. And to make that moment amazing sets the stage for everybody to have a good day. So if they did the first 2 things that they're talking about, really put effort and energy into them, I feel like they win big. I don't think they need to make this bigger promise that's built on this really epic specialty coffee barista journey vision, especially if they don't intend to keep it.
Yeah.
So, and again, I'm not saying they don't, but
it's going to be hard to keep
it'll be really hard because
and that's why I go back to the drive-through thing, is because how do you create this community cafe
when 70% of your orders are from mobile ordering
or in somebody who's sitting in their car and not interacting with you except through a window?
Totally.
So it's just like, how do you do that?
Yeah, I don't think you do, and that's where I'm advocating for them to make a less of a promise and just live up to that, unless they really want to do it. It's like, because Howard Schultz, we talked about this in the other episode, he's kind of against, he says he's against mobile ordering.
Yeah.
Even though they have mobile ordering. Again, it's this conflict of interest thing. So, really interesting to see what happens.
Yeah.
And we'll have to witness it year over year over year.
So the biggest takeaway from this would be,
it's like Julia says, your actions speak so loudly, I just can't hear you. It doesn't really matter what you say. The only thing that matters is what you do.
A show, then tell.
Yeah. It's show, and then you can tell as you're going. That's what we do here. That's what our marketing is. We don't make any promises that we're perfect. We have an ideal, and then our whole journey is us trying to live up that ideal and figuring out ways to do that. And then we share what's happening along the way. And the sharing hopefully inspires other people to do similar things. And that's it. We're not saying, I don't know, grandiose claims are crazy to me. It's just it just doesn't make sense. You can totally claim ideals. Like, it would be, I believe in the power of workplace culture and creating an environment that people feel like they're contributing to something more than just making a widget. Yeah. I believe in that. And every day we are actively learning how to do that better. We're not pretending like we have all these answers on everything, We're going forward with our best intention. So I don't know. It's who knows? And then you kind of asked about
it's just where the industry goes from here.
Yeah, and this is similar. I got to shout out Jeffrey at Sip and Sonder, downtown Disney.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he helped me out a couple days there. It was great. He asked me a similar question. And I feel like Well, one, I feel like there is no industry. There is. So if you were going to rewind, like we just did the first, second, third wave rewind, if you set the clock back 10 years, you could easily see
Was Jeffrey asking about the fourth wave?
Jeffrey asked about the fourth wave. Well, he asked about the future of the industry, and he was like, what's the fourth wave? And, we talked about hospitality and all these other things, but my real take on it is there was this kind of monoculture a decade ago. Specialty coffee shops do things like this. We all know each other. The community's really small. Social media wasn't as much of a thing. Shops were really similar. And now there's more freedom for people to create these niche markets and kind of do their own thing. So depending on where you are, because your demographics matter, you got a little more flexibility in a big city or a place that has like high disposable income, but you can make this wild, Japanese inspired espresso bar that serves 5 single origins and doesn't have any milk. And you can do that. Or you can do something like what we're doing. You can do a million different things. And you can all be successful at all of those. And we don't have to have one industry. We have these commonalities in terms of, a generally high quality of coffee and passion for that thing. But what it manifests like can be completely different. So, and that's cool for me because you got 15 cafes in town and they're all essentially carbon copies of one another. Who cares? Like what makes that interesting? It's not interesting at all versus I want really good coffee and I want to play with that and I can go over wherever and just get a completely different experience. That's pretty fun. I've been looking at all these little coffee shops in Korea, this little one room, lots of glass. They got like a little turntable and just doing weird, quirky shit. They're like these, I'm in love with the mini bodega idea. So I think more of that would be cool. And I think that's just what we're going to see.
It's options. It's not like, options are always better. Choice for the consumer, choice for the guest is always...
Well, there's more options on the table. It's like you can create a small business like that, and if you just want to provide for yourself, you have the means and the tools to connect with other people who want what you want, which was less available a decade ago. You can build your audience, customer, or guest base and serve them feverishly. And then depending on what you want to do and how far you want to go, you might have to choose a different path, right? You're not going to be able to create a gigantic company like that gives 15 people, employs hundreds of people and gives 15 to 30 people a chance to make, $200,000 a year. That's not going to happen. It's just a different path. I feel like Kira's got some information for us. Oh, damn it. I thought you had some information. No, that's great.
She's actually working.
Dang. No, you don't have to apologize. You didn't do anything wrong. But yeah, I mean, that's my take on the whole thing.
So to summarize your take, it's not that there's going to be this big industry shift, kind of like a wave would be if you were to think about it in the waves, but it's more of everyone's going to find their thing that they like the most and kind of dig into that, essentially.
I think that's
like if you think about breweries,
that's what we're going to see.
Like if you think about breweries, like breweries brew the beer they do because the people who are brewing it, that's the beer they like, sort of thing, right? Whereas like in coffee shops, like people are going to make the drinks, put the drinks on their menu that they like because those are the drinks that they like.
Yeah, I mean, it's more than the drinks. It's like, the overarching company ethos or mission too, where before it's just really good coffee, really nice, pretty, beautiful space. And I think, that will continue. But again, it's going to be cost of entry into the game, and then what makes you interesting or compelling are the things that go beyond that.
I think
Because as we go further down this rabbit hole of, again, these things becoming normal, they all just feel more like commodities. And like if we fast forward another 10, 15 years, it's just those things that once were extra and over the top aren't going to be enough.
Yeah.
If you really want to connect.
I think back to kind of like that. Wherever I end up working, my dad is always the biggest fan of that place. And anyone who's in the same space is ultimately like the worst. So, we work here and he's just like, oh, you guys are the best. You guys make the best coffee. Like, oh, no one does anything better. And for him, it's very much like if you're in that space, you need to like be the winner, like the winner and losers sort of thing.
Right.
And it's just like, it's not that mentality.
Right.
It's like, don't expect to open a coffee shop and expect to win the coffee game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not going to win there is no one big overarching game.
Yeah. There's no winner that's going to ultimately be at the top and dethrone, say, a Starbucks.
Right. It's like, how could there be, you know? And yeah, you create your own game, so to speak.
And make a D&D.
Hey everyone, that's the podcast for the week. Thanks so much for listening. If you heard something that inspired you, or if you heard something that left you with more questions than answers, send us an email to podcast@catandcloud.com. And if you want to know more about us, then head to our website at catandcloud.com, where you can find everything that we have to offer. You can check out any of our single origin coffees, as we have new ones coming on the menu all the time. So there's always going to be something new for you to experience. Also, if you're feeling extra friendly, connect with us in the usual places, like YouTube, Instagram, pretty much anywhere that's hip. All right, that's it. Thanks so much for being awesome, everyone. We'll be back next week.